Good morning, Haley. It's Friday, March 11th. It's Friday. It's my Friday, which means that I must do something that we've never done before. And I thought it'd be really fun to do something that I'm going to call Free Read Friday, because that's a fun name. And I'm going to read you, I typed something up, and I'm going to read you it. It's not very long, so I'll stay under the 4-minute limit, I promise. I have to admit that I was considering just not talking to you because you got the Darren Criss tickets and, for lack of a better phrase, rubbed it in my face. And that upset me. It hurt me. It hurt my soul. It hurt my soul. I'm not gonna lie, it did. But yeah, so I think I'll just read it to you. I sat there and held Autumn's hand lightly. I drifted my eyes around the room, staring. I stared at the gray-speckled walls of the hospital. I stared at the beeping machines that monitored her heart rate, the tubes that went into her body in a few places. The small tubes went from her arm, her nose, and her hand into a bag of clear liquid. The clear liquid replaced the bag of crimson blood a few days ago. She had also been replaced a few days prior to the blood. She used to be a short, funny, talkative, and overjoyful young girl. A young girl who bounced around in omnipresent heels and danced along wherever she went and did nothing but laugh. I'd known Autumn for 13 years, and I still remembered the meeting. Her 4-year-old self and my 4-year-old self in preschool sitting on a carpet that mocked the roads of a small town. "Hi," she'd said. "Hi," I'd replied. That was the first interaction I'd ever had with my best and closest friend. I remember that interaction as well as so many more over those important 13 years. Now I sat here in the overstuffed, uncomfortable, ugly, pattern-upholstered chair that I'd pulled over to her sadly bare and white bed. Now I stared at her. There were no heels on her feet, no stylish clothes clinging to her tiny figure, no town-mocking carpet below us, no one-worded but oh-so-important greetings. But most of all, there was no laughing. The room was painfully silent and made my ears ring. Now I never minded silence, actually enjoyed it from time to time, but this silence was different. This silence was the horrible sound, or lack of sound. This quiet was the sound of her dying. The silence was the sound of my best friend slipping away from me, from what was left of my life. With that realization, the first tear that I had allowed to streak down my cheek, and with that, another followed. I cried like that for a while. I tried to be strong and not weep during this time, so that there was no way that she would wake up and see me like this. Because to me, crying showed that I'd given up. What reason did I have to cry if I knew she would be fine? I was past caring who saw me cry, past caring who'd notice my loss of hope. I was completely past it until I felt arms wrap around my shoulders and until I noticed by the cologne smell of the owner of those arms. The owner was Sam, Autumn's twin brother. I'd tried harder than necessary to stop myself from crying, but as any other person who'd ever cried, who'd ever had a loved one could attest, it is hardest to stop crying while being hugged by someone you care about. I turned and wrapped my arms around his neck, sobbing into his shoulder. He said nothing, I said nothing, and neither of us needed to say anything because we felt the same. The shoulder of his gray t-shirt became a deeper gray as my tears soaked it. It was at that moment I heard rustling from behind me and froze. Sam also froze, and the rustling came to a muffled sigh. The strong tan arms around my back tightened, and Sam's head moved up to see if what we thought had happened was true. Well, that's it. That's the end of our whole first week. Haley, I'll see you on Monday.